Audio 3, page 133. It was a singular sight which met our eyes. Beside the table on a wooden chair sat Dr. Roylott. His eyes were fixed in a dreadful, rigid stare at the corner of the ceiling. Bound tightly around his head was a peculiar yellow band with brownish speckles. The speckled band, whispered Holmes. I took a step forward. In an instant, his strange headgear began to move. From among his hair, there rose a squat, diamond-shaped head and puffed neck of a loathsome serpent. "It is a swamp adder," cried Holmes, "the deadliest snake in India. Dr. Roylott must have died within seconds of being bitten. Violence does, in truth, recoil upon the violent. The schemer falls into the pit which he digs for another. Let us put this creature back into its den and let the police know what has happened." Holmes later explained the case to me in greater detail. My attention was speedily drawn to the ventilator and to the bell rope which hung down to the bed. The discovery that it was a dummy and that the bed was clamped to the floor made me suspect that the rope was there as a bridge for something passing through the hole and coming to the bed. The idea of a snake then occurred to me. I coupled it with my knowledge that the doctor kept a supply of creatures from India. Then I thought of the whistle. Of course, he must recall the snake before the morning light revealed it. He had trained it probably by the use of milk which we saw to return to him when called. He would put it through this ventilator at the hour that he thought best, with the certainty that it would crawl down the rope and land on the bed. It might or might not bite the occupant. Perhaps she might escape every night for a week, but sooner or later she would fall a victim. When I heard this creature hiss, I instantly lit the light and attacked it. With the result of driving it back through the ventilator, I added. "Yes," said Holmes, "and also with the result of causing it to turn upon its master to the other side. Some of the blows of my cane came home and roused its snakish temper, so that it attacked the first person it saw. In this way, I am no doubt indirectly responsible for Dr. Grimsby's Roylott deaths, and I cannot say that it is likely to weigh very heavily on my conscience." So now the explanation of this part. And so after all that, hitting out and this thing and striking a match and everything, they enter Dr. Roylott's room and they see a ghastly or a very, very frightening sight. That they see that Dr. Roylott, he is seated on a wooden chair beside a table and he's staring continuously at the corner of the ceiling. And what is the sight that they see? A speckled snake had wound itself around his forehead, and it was nothing but a swamp adder, the most deadliest snake in India. The killer had been killed. And so now here what happened? Now he was the one who was, training the snake so as to, kill his stepdaughters, but now unfortunately because of reverse of all these actions that had happened, he had unfortunately become the victim. They trapped the snake and called the police. Dr. Holmes later explains the case to Watson. Now here let's see how Dr. Sherlock Holmes explains in detail about all the observations that he made and then how he comes to conclusion connecting everything together. He explains that the bell rope acted like a bridge for the snake coming from Dr. Roylott's room to Julia's through the ventilator, that was there, because that was the one connecting these two rooms. The bed was clamped in place under the bell rope for the snake to bite the victim that was lying on the bed. It was trained to return to Dr. Royland's bedroom for the saucer of milk which he had placed there under his bed, and that also it would return back when he heard the sound of the whistle. When doctor heard when Holmes and Watson were sitting in the dark room, remember we read that they heard a gentle sound as if steam was escaping from the kettle. So when Dr. Holmes or Sherlock Holmes had heard this hissing sound, he immediately with his cane he just struck kept on swinging his cane in all directions, and so as he kept on swinging it in the dark, he couldn't see which direction, and so what happened at that time, it must have knocked that bell rope, and so what happened, it invariably knocked this poisonous snake, and so it made it angry, and in its anger it returned back to its master. Because it was injured, it bit its master. So Dr. Holmes goes on to say that invariably he was responsible for Dr. Grimsby Roylett's death. He said that he did not actually feel guilty for being responsible for his death, because Dr. Grimsby Roylett was the one who was responsible for getting his for killing one of his stepdaughters, because he wanted to retain the money for his selfish needs. So he says that he did not have. So now Sherlock Holmes says that now he does not even have an iota of conscience, disturbing conscience in his mind. Now he feels responsible for invariably being the cause of the stepfather's death. So the lesson that we learn from this is that the schemer falls into the pit which he digs for another. So here the schemer is who? He is the stepfather, that is Dr. Grimsby Roylett, and he was the one who was making, or he was the one who was devising all plans to wipe out his two stepdaughters so that he could retain the money that was left by his wife for his own needs. But then he did not realize that his action would have a boomerang effect on him, and he would fall victim to it. And the reason why he fell victim to it was because the poisonous snake was attacked by was hit by the thin cane that was kept by that Dr. Sherlock Holmes had with it, and so in its anger it came back into its room, and then it bit the first person that it saw, and it happened to be Dr. Roylett, and so he fell victim to the schemes that he was devising to get his second stepdaughter killed. So here the schemer falls into the pit that he had dug for another person. So with this I come to the end of this lesson. I hope you have understood everything in detail. So this is the end of, with this I wind up this audio. Thank you.